pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop, Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
You know, from time to time, Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens has had great deals on azaleas, but that's nothing like what they're doing right now. Right now, you disregard all the old price tags on azaleas and just take off 50%. Yes, that's half price. All azaleas are half price at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens right now. Other deals this week, a gigantic selection of flowering shrubs. Mix them or match them, they're all buy one, get one free. And don't forget those hummingbird and butterfly plants. They start at a super low $7.99. And how about that tree sale? Pick any large tree for as little as $49.99 and get another one just like it for half price. Now, that's just the beginning. Check the ad for all the savings at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, daily till 4, Saturdays till 3, in the same blooming place since 1952.
Good. You know, I'm starting to. I feel like I like that better than I like Inagata DeVita.
Well, see, this one's custom made. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing. Yeah.
It's not even the same tune.
No, he went in studio.
Right. It's not even the same tune.
And reworked
right.
the thing so that it was. So that
there's no royalty issues.
Yes. Yeah.
But it done a good job. Who's the artist?
Stanley Spencer.
Good job.
Yeah.
A really good job.
Yeah,
he here in the area?
Yes, he is.
So he could do stuff like that for other people.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
Stanley Spencer.
Yeah.
So how was your week?
It's been good so far. It's been warm.
So
to put it. Yeah.
So we're glad we missed Henri, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Boy, that's very seldom does New York and Massachusetts get hit with a Category 1 hurricane.
That is very true, and and here
because it's still warm. It's August, so it didn't slow down.
No, and it too is it's not Labor Day yet, so it's still the summer season. So the tourist season and things like that, we're still going strong.
And the Atlantic up there is still very warm.
Right.
People think the Atlantic's not warm. Even that part of the Atlantic's warm.
It's still warm in through August here, and so.
I mean, it's not the North Atlantic, but
no. It's still right. For us, it is, but right. It's still the tourist season. It's still the time of year for outdoor activity. And
81, 82 degrees was the water temperature. Yeah. I mean, it's not the 88-degree water temperature, 89 that we have.
Right. But it's
still enough where it could churn.
It packed a punch, and apparently it's still packing quite a bit of rain.
Yeah, it's still rolling.
And causing some issues, and it was still going all screwy
right.
once it came on land. It looked like it came in, and it went west, and it went south, and it's supposed to come back up and go
it's going
east,
all crazy. And Fred is now we're seeing the final results of Fred in the flooding of Tennessee.
Was devastating. Just the rain.
Waverly, Tennessee.
Yeah.
They say they don't know what happened. The creeks overflowed, but for that to have that kind of torrent of water come through, something had to break somewhere on a river. A dam had to give or something.
Something either didn't operate the way it should.
They went in a 30-minute period. They went from no water to 5 foot of water.
Yeah. Or whether or not they were trying to open and relieve some flooding issues in certain areas and. So, prayers are out with those people.
And I was watching the news this morning, Waverly, Tennessee, not in a flood zone. So nobody had flood insurance.
Right.
Because they're not in a flood zone.
Right.
You don't carry if you don't
flooded, if you're not in a floodplain,
most
even
people don't.
year,
Most
right.
people don't have flood insurance.
Right, right.
So here they are.
And I mean, and they even make 100-year flood insurance that if you're once in 100 years, and so they weren't in with those.
No. And so your heart goes out to those people. What they're suffering through right now.
Most definitely.
Mother Nature, she's not to be played with.
And this is the anniversary of Andrew.
Yeah.
Today is
92.
92. And you figure we're already up to H. There's 3 more out there.
Right. And Andrew was the first one of the season.
First one.
And it was in August.
Yeah. So it's and it was devastating.
Remember when we were kids? What was the commercial? Where don't fool with Mother Nature. Wasn't it like a margarine commercial or something?
Yes. Please don't.
It's not nice to fool with Mother Nature.
It wasn't Parquet because that was Parquet butter. Parquet
butter.
Wow,
But
somebody knows.
It was a margarine.
It was
commercial.
a margarine commercial. Yeah.
You know who knows? I bet he's on the line with us right now.
Yeah.
I bet he's on the line with us right now. Good morning. You're on with Carol Ann Baldwin.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah. I was thinking about. Yeah, it was the margarine commercial.
But what margarine, Jim?
I was thinking of what?
Which one?
Was it Blue Bonnet margarine?
Oh, I think it was. No, everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it.
Yeah, that's everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it.
Come
on, Jim. You're supposed to be helping us out with these things.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah,
No, it's not. I can't believe it's not butter.
The Toccoa Dam in northern Georgia failed during a heavy rainstorm about 30 years ago.
It was 1982. It flooded Rabun. It flooded Tallulah. Believe me, I remember that. I was living in Atlanta at the time. It flooded it flooded Tallulah Gorge. It flooded Rabun Gap, all that area up in North Georgia. It was not fun.
Yeah.
By the way,
have a good day.
and that's the same river that flooded.
Yep.
That they actually opened the waters to flood it so they could film the movie Deliverance.
Okay.
And then 10 years later it flooded for real.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we don't think about that very much here in
Right.
Florida because water soaks in so fast with the aquifer.
Right.
But if we get some bad hurricanes and all, the Swanee, the Ocala, the St. John's, they can all overflow.
Exactly. The Withlacoochee. I mean, when there's a storm,
could easily overflow.
When we get a storm that's coming close to our West Coast, Crystal River, in those areas, they evacuate the west side of 19.
Of course they do.
They get you across
because
19
the water will
because
come
that
on to
come
19.
all the way up to 19.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, we've been, this year we've been lucky. Of course, we've been dry.
We have been.
This has been
in a very rainy season.
This is
we still were so dry before the rainy season kicked in.
And I think our weather systems and
And we're not looking at any rain this week at all.
No, and we go through 7-year cycles.
Yep.
And it looks like we're into a dry cycle.
I remember.
And no, that's not climate change. That's cyclic
in 2000,
weather
in 2003, 2002, 2001, 2000, 99, all that area. It's when the bad fires happened and everything.
Yes. Yep.
Remember the 4 hurricanes? People got upset about Charlie, Jean,
but
Irene,
it filled us back
up.
It filled us
I lived
back
on Cowpen Lake at the time in Hawthorne, the Putnam County side of Hawthorne. Cowpen Lake's a 575-acre lake. At the time, it was
walkable.
5 small ponds, not walkable. Yeah. People drove trucks and 4-wheelers. I have a picture of my neighbor with his 57 Chevrolet out on the lake bed.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how dry it was.
Well, Payne's
and
Prairie.
In 6 weeks, it filled up.
Yeah. Payne's Prairie
when I first moved here,
was a prairie. After those 4 storms, actually a little bit before that, I think the year before we had 1 or 2.
But it really filled up after those 4.
Right. Payne's Prairie, Orange Lake.
And hasn't drained since.
It flooded 441.
Yeah. And hasn't drained since. We had 3 years ago when Irene came through and everything. When Irma came through and everything, they closed 441 again.
Had to because it went underwater.
I mean, and I remember when I first moved to here, I moved to Open Mellow Mushroom. I came here in 98 to Open Mellow Mushroom in Gainesville.
Right.
And Payne's Prairie, I'd never seen a prairie outside of Kansas. And here was a prairie, an actual God-frickin' prairie.
Right.
There was no water. There was no. People talk about that overlook. You could walk out on 441, and the alligators would come up. There were no alligators.
It was dry.
It was dry. Yeah. I saw the wild buffalo walking
going through the
right
prairie,
there by
munching grass.
441
Yeah,
because it was dry.
Looking for grass. Yeah.
You don't see that now. Plains Prairie's got lots of water in it.
Yes, and it's kayak and canoe.
And that the
navigable.
ecosystem thrives in that situation.
Right, and should as we go through this dry period, and I have a feeling, I'd have to go back and hunt it up if I had that much gumption to search it back and see where we start, where we're at on this 7 year of how much rain, because last year we seemed to do pretty good. But I'm not real sure because this year we had a dry spring.
Well, like yesterday,
which is common.
Yesterday it was so hot, it was so humid. You expected that summer breeze to rain some. Nothing.
It got dark. It probably rained in a couple areas because as I drove home from work, I saw a little moisture on the road, so it must have been a quick
nothing
late
substantial.
Shower. But yeah, nothing at my house. I've actually had to put some sprinklers back onto some plants. Had to go out and water more than once. And
I had to water Mom yesterday because she hadn't had any water in 4 or 5 days.
Right. And so we have to watch
the
that
peace lily had to get water.
Yes.
Good morning. You're on with Carol Ann Baldwin.
Morning,
guys.
Morning, Hugh.
You say when I first moved to Florida, my first home was out in the national forest on a nice little lake, and I had.
Whoops.
And we lost Hugh. Hugh hung up on us. Oh, there he is.
My pier was underwater, and in 2000, when I sold that place to move into Silver Springs, the water was 50 feet away from the pier.
Oh, yeah.
Was drying back up again. Yeah. It's and I have a friend that lives out in the forest, and they have one of the prairies behind their house, and her husband had mowed when it was down, and to make paths,
right?
To go walking through, take the dogs out. You could see it helped to keep the wildlife away from the house, a little bit, on some of that, and then boom, it full of water and up and down, So.
Oh yeah, on Cowpen Lake where I lived. Thanks for the call, Hugh. On Cowpen Lake where I lived, when I moved there in '98, the docks were 25, 30 feet out of the water, and they were 14, 15, 18 foot above the ground.
Because that's where the water level usually.
And then the storms came in and everything. And they didn't get back up. They didn't get back up to the top of the docks.
No.
But they got 8, 9 feet.
Right, because you have to put the water back in the ground.
Right.
Before it can fill above the ground.
Yeah, the ground has to get saturated before it doesn't
can
soak
hold
in.
Water, before it holds water.
Right.
And so, we're coming in, and this is something to watch in your landscape. Is that we're dry now when we're cleaning up things here at the end of the summer. I know it's August. It's hot. We're not thinking about that.
And the hottest month's still to come, September.
August to early, that mid part of September can be pretty wicked. It's see what you've got. Look for those vines that have gone up the trees here over the summer, and get those clipped out of there. Pull them down. They might be pretty, but they're ladder ways up your trees.
I got sticker vines coming out of the azaleas.
Yeah.
And they're like 1.5 feet straight up above the azaleas.
Yeah, probably Smilex vine. Yeah.
So I told my yard guy, I said, next week when you come, you got to get under underneath those azaleas and get those vines out of there.
Yeah.
And he will. He'll get in there. Pain in the neck, but that's what I paid for.
Yeah, that's it. But if you've got the Smilex vine, if you've got the Virginia creeper's pretty in the fall because it gets that red.
Right.
But if it's going up your trees, it can become an issue as a fire ladder. If you have wooded areas on one side or the other of your home, make sure that you don't have things that are going to possibly be an entryway for possible sparks and fire. Be careful with fire. Be careful with that grill if you use charcoal or wood. It's as we come into the bonfire season out in the backyard. It's nice in October, November to sit outside and have a nice fire, hanging out with friends, toasting marshmallows with the grandchildren and such, that embers can't get away.
Always keep a water hose close.
Always keep the water hose close. I mean, we get these fancy deals that you can put on, and it doesn't leak all over the ground.
Anything above 5 or 6 mile an hour winds, don't start a fire.
Yeah, don't start a fire. Put the wire across the top of it. Keep it, keep them
Calm
safe.
down now. Now ain't no self-respecting redneck.
No, well, I mean, if you're just, if you got the kids out there,
it's like
keep the wire
Susan, my wife, she goes, I said, we need a fire pit in the backyard. She goes, well, they're expensive. You buy them. I go, what do you mean they're
You
expensive?
dig a hole.
She goes, they're, and I go, you take a spade out in the back. You take a sharp end shovel out in the back. You dig a hole. You maybe put some pavers around it, and there's your fire pit.
Well, and you dig your hole and you use the soil that comes out of it as above ground.
Right, exactly.
And then you do. So.
And then you put some pavers there, and everything. That's a fire pit.
Yeah.
These things that they put on their backyard, their little back patio that hold 3 or 4 logs, and
that's a fire.
that wouldn't work in South Georgia.
No,
wouldn't work. Wouldn't work where I'm from.
Well, and I was going to say, depending on your backyard, those work in depending on the neighborhood.
Yeah, wouldn't work where I'm from.
Yeah, I got
you had one of those. You invited people over to come hang out by the fire and drink some beer, and your fire pit was one of those little metal things with the little dome wire cover.
That'll laugh you out of the neighborhood.
Laughed? They may have just took their rifles and started shooting the thing.
But yeah, it depends on where you're at in the city or county, what kind of fire pit you can have. But still, even in the city of
Take
Ocala,
precaution.
Use caution. Have that fire hose handy. Have a fire extinguisher in your backyard. I mean,
you got one by the grill. If you're smart, you have one by the grill.
By your grill. Right.
Hey, I got some emails that ask some questions for you.
All right, great.
One is, and I never thought about. I just know you are. But
right.
One is. The email came from a guy that wanted to know, we always introduce you as Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin.
Right.
What does one have to do to become a Master Gardener?
To become a Master Gardener. That's a great question, and we haven't answered this question in a while, mostly because the way the classes worked last year, I think they were almost like non-existent almost.
Right.
But it is a program, it's a volunteer organization through the county extension.
UF and the county.
UF is a land-grant university, so land-grant universities around the country have the agricultural programs,
right?
And that's where we are an extension of the university. That's where your extension office is, and then we as Master Gardeners are an extension
of the extension
office, a homeowner version. And it's now when I became, it was about a 13-week, 1 day a week, intensive, hands-on studying. Almost college level course, but it was one full 8-hour day, once a week for like 13 weeks. You do apply to become one. It's not just sign up and everybody's accepted.
So I couldn't go and say, hey, I want to be a Master Gardener.
Right. You have to be able to dedicate that time. You have to apply. There's no cost to apply. You have to interview. Because you're a volunteer. You're giving back time to your community. That's how you pay for your courses. You pay for your books, which I think are now CDs,
right?
Or flash drives on that. So a lot easier than I had to carry around about 4 books that were 2.5 inches thick, and we read all of them.
I have a degree in history.
Yeah.
Don't start comparing books.
Books, yeah, no, but
and at least all yours were in English.
Well, but they had Latin names too because of botanical names and things like that, scientific names and that. But no, it's really a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I am the last member of the class of '96.
Oh.
Though I'm not real active.
Now, do you have to get recertified every so often?
So long as you keep up your volunteer hours that are required, which I'm not sure what they are. Because once I hit 20 years, I became a lifetime member.
Right.
And I try to participate when I can, which unfortunately the last couple of years have been hard.
But it's not as much as you had to before you got 20 years.
And then they do educational training every year, a certain amount of educational hours every year, and there's the opportunities are provided to you.
So like Maxine, who we had on from the extension office. She works at the extension office as the Master Gardener, and then all of y'all coordinate with her.
We're basically under her supervision.
Right.
And, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to volunteer. I mean, there's a speakers bureau presenting to different garden clubs throughout the community, and the public libraries. I mean, they do and we're coming back to a lot of these programs now that, certain restrictions have been lifted. With the demonstration gardens on the property that need to be maintained as educational areas. We have a greenhouse, a propagation area that we grow out plants for sales that help to provide the funding for the other Master Gardener programs, because we're not funded.
Right. Well, people don't realize that botanical area right next to the livestock pavilion and the extension office on Old Jacksonville Road, Northeast Jacksonville Road, that botanical area is kept up by Maxine and other Master Gardeners
the Master Gardener program
as a way to teach people and see how flowers and plants.
Right, it's a teaching. They are demonstration gardens. So are the gardens, the planted areas around those offices.
Right.
Those are also demonstration areas to show,
But
the
there's a
different
big
principles.
botanical garden
it's
right beside the extension.
It's about, what would you say that is, about an acre?
About an
maybe?
acre and a quarter, maybe.
Something like that. And it has butterfly gardens, vegetable garden, herb garden, and
it's got
basically
a lot.
shade gardens.
And you can walk it, and it's fantastic.
There's a lot of people in the past, and I'm sure they still do family photos for their Christmas pictures. I've seen wedding pictures done.
Engagement pictures done there.
Engagement pictures. I've seen people come out and do.
They do weddings in that botanical garden.
I've seen people come out and do like the glamour shots.
Yeah.
Out there, and it's a beautiful setting, beautiful.
Nobody
backdrop.
does bougie shots out there.
No.
Yeah.
But
get Maxine to do something.
Yeah. If she's listening, you'll hear from her.
Oh yeah. As long as she's got her cowboy boots on, Max is good.
Yep.
Max is good.
But
it's something that a lot of people, when we say Master Gardener, it's not just a title you earn and
no,
don't. You got to go back and you got to keep it up.
You do have to keep it up, and it is and it's University of Florida backed knowledge.
Right.
So the information that's given out, that's why a lot of times I don't mention brand names, and that's a training from
the University of
Florida. I could, because I don't do this program as a Master Gardener necessarily. I do it as myself. I don't count the hour that I do this as Master Gardener volunteer hours, even though I could. And that's so that I can bring you a little different information.
Well, can you let me have that hour then if I want to become a Master Gardener?
No.
Dadgummit.
Sorry, but no, it's a lot of fun. You get you make some really great friends, really great activities. But it's one of those things of, it's somewhere around, I want to say 75. I could probably find it, approximately 75 hours a year that you have to give back to the program, and that's so easy, to do.
I mean, 75 hours in a year.
In a 12-month period.
You figure if you work a 40-hour week job for a year, that's 2,080 hours.
Right.
So
I mean,
75 is nothing.
If you've got the time, and like this year, we're actually, the Master Gardener Spring Festival is a go in person this year. It was canceled last year. It was canceled for this past March. It was canceled the year before, so it's 2 years without it. So anybody who's new to the area, this is such a fantastic experience. I mean, if you're
you get your hours.
You get your hours, and yeah, I'm gonna. The last time I worked it, I actually worked parking lot duty, but still,
your hours.
I got my hours. Had fun too. You wouldn't believe how much fun it can be to work a parking lot.
It's just funny, some of the things people want to know.
It is.
They send an email wanting to know. We always introduce you as a Master Gardener.
Right.
What's it take to become a Master Gardener? This may be somebody who wants to become a Master Gardener.
That's true. And actually, if anybody out there who's interested, call the extension office.
Is it a predominantly female field, or
there's a lot of men that are participating, and a lot of the ages do vary. Mostly retirees or semi-retired or people who own their own businesses.
Right.
Or who work from home and things like that, where they can make that kind of time, have flexible schedules. See, that's what happened to me. My schedule went from very, very flexible to
not flexible at all.
Not flexible, yeah.
But it helps that, you're a Master Gardener working at one of these big box stores, but you're still a Master Gardener. So you have information a lot of big box stores don't have.
A lot of other stores don't have, and I do use the extension and university information to share with my customers that come in with questions and with problems.
And this is something that the University of Florida, because it's a land grant university.
Right.
Georgia Southern's a land grant university.
It's
Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College is definitely a land grant.
Right.
But how many land? We got about a minute.
Yeah.
There's quite a few land-grant universities in Florida.
And in Florida, and within the United States. I mean, the Master Gardener program is in 60 of the 67 counties.
Yeah.
And I think some of those other counties just overlap because they're smaller counties.
Like people forget, Florida A&M.
Yeah.
Is a land-grant university, agriculture and military, mechanical.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them. Abraham Baldwin, I had a lot of friends graduate from Abraham Baldwin, and they come over to Georgia Southern afterward to continue their education. So when we come back, we got another email.
And I had some other information for stuff, because when you plant a garden, you plan for the future.
That's what we're going to do, because my wife said, you better ask Carol Ann what vegetables I need to start getting ready to put in the ground. So she's thinking ahead. She's thinking ahead. We're listening. This is Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. It's In the Garden with Carol Ann Baldwin. If you got any questions or comments you'd like to make, 622-9622 is the number to call. 622-9622 is the number to call for you to talk to Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. We'll be right back after this short time out. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt. Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for From the Ranch headlines on the Southeast Agnet. I'm Darren Spearman reporting. USDA has issued new updates.
Democrats in Congress early Tuesday morning postponed a vote to advance President Biden's $3.5 trillion social spending plan for Monday evening. It was canceled after hours of closed-door talks failed to overcome internal party divisions. The Food and Drug Administration granted full approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. On Monday, the vaccine became the first to receive full approval beyond emergency use authorization. FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock said, quote, "This is a